Alright guys, so today's lesson is going to be on parallel lines cut by transversals. So for our guided note sheet, let's go ahead and start with some vocabulary. So the first one, it says perpendicular lines are lines that intersect at right angles. So our vocabulary for the first one is perpendicular lines. Alright, the next one, we have parallel lines are two lines in a plane that never intersect or cross. So parallel lines. Alright, the next one, we have a line that intersects two or more other lines is called a transversal. Alright, next we have if two lines cut by a transversal are parallel, then these special pairs of angles are congruent. The first one we're going to talk about is alternate interior angles. So we have alternate interior angles. Alright, the next one is going to be alternate exterior angles. And last, we're going to talk about corresponding angles. Alright, so alternate interior angles, that means our opposite sides and our interior inside angles are going to be congruent. Alright, alternate exterior angles is the opposite side, exterior angles are congruent. And then for corresponding angles, same side and same location angles are congruent. Okay, so let's go ahead and clarify this a little bit. Let's look at example 1. So example 1 says classify angle 4 and angle A as alternate interior, alternate exterior, or corresponding. Alright, so first let's look at angle 4, which is right here, and angle A, right here. Okay, so angle 4 and angle 8 are going to be corresponding angles. Alright, they're corresponding angles because they're in the same location and they're in the same side of the transversal. Alright, so same side and same location of the transversal. Alright, so if you look at our line right here, alright, angle 4 and angle A are on the same side and the same location, so therefore they are congruent by corresponding angles. Alright, so let's keep going. Let's look at example 2. So example 2 asks us to find the measure of angle 2 if the measure of angle 8 is 58 degrees. So first, let's look at angle 2, which is right here, and the measure of angle 8, which is right here. Alright, so angle 2 and angle 8 are alternate exterior angles. Alright, so remember our definition for an alternate exterior angle is they're on opposite sides and they're exterior outside angles. So because they're alternate exterior angles, that means they are congruent. And congruent just means that they are equal. So since they're equal, that means that angle 2 is also equal to 58 degrees. And the last example on this page is example 3. Alright, so example 3 says find the measure of angle 4 if the measure of angle 6 is 58 degrees. So we have angle 4 here and angle 6 here. Alright, so angle 4 and angle 6 in this case are going to be alternate interior angles. Alright, so whenever you have alternate interior angles, they're always going to make this little Z shape, and they're always going to be the angles that are on the inside of the Z. Alright, so we said that alternate interior angles are also going to be equal. So that means that the measure of angle 4 is also going to be 58 degrees. Okay, so let's go ahead and flip your paper over and work through example 4. Example 4 has multiple parts in it. Alright, so we're going to cover a lot. So example 4 says, in the figure at the right, line M and line N are parallel. If the measure of angle 3 is equal to 64 degrees, find each given angle measure and justify your answer. So first, let's go ahead and label what we know. Alright, so it tells us that the measure of angle 3 is going to be 64 degrees. So we know that this angle right here is 64 degrees. Well, part 1 asks us what is the measure of angle A. Well, the measure of angle 8, which is over here. Instantly we can say that the measure of angle 8 is 64 degrees by our definition of corresponding angles. Alright, because remember our definition of corresponding angles are the same side and same location of our transversal. Alright, part 2 says what is the measure of angle 10. So angle 10 is right here. Alright, if you look at angle 8 and angle 10, you notice that their two vertices touch. So the measure of angle 10 is also going to be 64 degrees. We know this by something we didn't talk about. Okay, so this is going to be by vertical angles. Alright, so when we say vertical angles, that means that the two V's where the vertices touch are equal. So since the vertex of angle 10, which is right here, and the vertex of angle 8 touch, those two angles are going to be congruent. So let's keep going. So let's look at number 3. We have the measure of angle 4. Alright, so the measure of angle 4 is a little different. But one thing we already know is that angle 3 is equal to 64 degrees. So we could say that angle 3 plus angle 4 is going to be equal to 90 degrees. If we look at angle 5 right here, alright, that's a 90 degree angle. So, because angle 5 and angle 2 are 90 degrees, we have to say that 90 minus 64 will give us our answer for angle 4. So 90 degrees minus 64 degrees is equal to 26 degrees. And that's what my measure of angle 4 is. Alright, and let's look at the last question. Alright, so for number 4, we have the measure of angle 6, which is over here. Alright, so the measure of angle 6. So we looked at example 2, we said that we can figure out the measure of angles from vertical angles. So lastly, we can say that the measure of angle 6 is 64 degrees because it's vertical angles with angle 3. Alright guys, so that wraps up today's lesson. If you have any questions, make sure you write them down and come to class with them tomorrow.